Hit OK. Hello, photographers! It's Monday. Photo Blab. Mark's here. I'm here. Tim's here. Steve is here. I don't know who else is here. Maybe nobody, since we just started. How's it going? I don't know who else is here. Whoops. Maybe nobody, since we just started. Yep, I did the thing I always do, which is forget to pause it and mute it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's better than nothing at all. So, how's everybody doing? That's what I want to know. Okay, let me fix Mark your audio. You know what I did though? I didn't change your audio at all. Okay, go ahead and talk a little bit for me, Mark. Oh, you're not coming through at all. I don't know what I did. Oh, I didn't add you in. Haha. Oh, no, now you're super loud. Okay, let me fix that. Look at that. That should do it there. Okay.
Worked in the world again.
Now try talking, Mark.
Okay, so here we are doing Photo Blab. Everything's great except for this cold weather.
Scott seems it's colder than a well digger's ... Okay, I'm not sure what that means.
Probably nothing good.
Probably nothing good. Okay, I'm just trying to adjust your audio levels a little bit here, Mark.
I think there's a bit of an echo.
I'm checking for that. There shouldn't be an echo. Of course, there should never be an echo, but
yeah.
That doesn't mean that there won't ever be an echo.
Tim's saying I'm a little hot. Why, thank you, Tim. Oh, we got Kimberly here. She's excited to watch this.
Ah, Kim, how's it going? Kim is wonderful. She's such a
I'd pronounce her last name, but I know I would butcher it.
Yeah, I keep trying to tweak you down. Keep talking for me, Mark, would you? I'm trying to tweak you down, and you're just like hot.
I'm hot. Not sure why I'd be hot, but I'll take what I can get. And still talking. Weird. Yeah, no kidding.
No wonder I'm such a dork. I was adjusting the wrong one.
Yeah, we got Rick here from Brooklyn. Hi, Rick.
Hey, Rick, how's it going? Hello from Brooklyn. Steve says sitting here eating some fish. Got some nice scotch. Nice. Kim says it's going great. Hello, Sandy. That's an old saying when it's super cold out. The saying that I think of when it comes to being super cold is colder than a witch's...
So I always think of the brass monkey balls or whatever it is.
Brass monkey balls. That's hilarious. Yeah, colder than a witch's bosoms.
Yeah.
Is the one that I'm familiar with. So, yeah, it's -7 Fahrenheit here, which is like -21 Celsius, which is, cold. Mark, you said it's what, -15?
Yeah, about -15 without the windshield, but it is pretty windy and the snow's blowing pretty good out there too.
Okay. We got like 6 to 8 inches of snow, which I shoveled this morning. I apologize. I'm looking for some pictures of our stairs because we just got them painted, and I thought I'd show you guys because they look really nice.
Mike's here, and we also have Wayne
from
Suffolk,
UK. Nice. UK. Hello, Wayne, and hey, Mike, how are you? And of course, I can't find a single picture of the stairs like before all of the painting is what I'm trying to find. All right, well, close enough.
Before and after.
Yeah, I've got a few like before and after. So I'm going to switch it over so you guys can actually see the screen. And
while you're waiting, you can share this.
Yeah, although for some reason, hold on a minute. This seems a little bit, something else seems a bit wrong here.
Mike says, checking in, Nikon rules.
Mike, how are you, bud?
Where's the ban button?
Yeah, right. Where's the ban button? That's hilarious. Oh, God. Fun times.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, hold on a sec. Sorry, all the things are showing up. Okay, I'm gonna try to shoot this over. What do you guys see on the screen? Do you just see my face on that iPad?
Yes.
Yeah, you do. For whatever reason, it's not outputting
That being
properly.
said, though, I've got a bit of a delay too. So.
Well, no, it's not you. It's definitely me. There we go. Okay. So what I wanted to show you real quick was the stairs. So like this is the stairs before being painted. Oh, come on. Why is this feed not staying? That's obnoxious and annoying. So this is not photography related at all, but here's our stairs. These are like 100 and whatever years old. Before they looked like this, I spent 2 weekends, 4 days total, with a heat gun and scraper, scraping off all of the paint and glue and carpet padding and whatnot that were on these stairs. Also, I had to fix this railing here. This circular part was... Let's see if I can do this markup. Yeah, I can do this. This part here was gone entirely. And then this, how do I undo? There we go. And then this here was, of course, loose because it had nothing to connect to. And then this here was loose. And from the side, there were actually a couple of the spindles that I had to fix too. So like you can see the one with the tape on it, I had to glue because it was split. And then a couple of these spindles were actually disconnected entirely and I had to reconnect them. So that's what it looked like before. And I did not paint them. This is what it looks like from the side and the railing. And then this is a shot down looking up the stairs. That's what it looks like after. Super happy. We paid somebody to paint them because, pardon my language, but painting... I'm too old to paint now anymore. I'm like, screw painting. That just sucks. So yeah, that's a little bit of just like what I'm most excited about. But the downside of that is because those stairs are just painted, and because it's a heavy traffic area, we walk up and down those stairs all the time. We have to wait like 4 days before we can go back upstairs where our bedrooms are. So like right behind me, you guys can't see it. Hopefully you can't see it because I dragged it out of the way. Is the bed. That we've been sleeping in my studio on the floor, just a mattress dragged down here. Yeah. And we brought all of our stuff down so that we didn't have to sleep upstairs. So
whatever works, right?
Whatever works, exactly. So that's a little fun time. But I did want to show you guys something else. So one of the things that Mark and I were thinking about trying on the regular is starting the show with like kind of like a quick sort of quick photography tip of some sort. Ultra MUC, hello. Welcome to everybody who's here.
Yep,
and I actually got to switch back over here to this. So now you should be able to see my pretty face again. And what I wanted to talk about quickly here was creating gradients on your background with gels. This is actually something that's really easy to do, but there are a couple things to keep in mind when you do it. So I just wanted to kind of hit those points. So the first is how to get a nice looking gradient, right? Because most of us probably use speed lights, which have a head like this, which is called a Fresnel head, which is a rectangular head that has this Fresnel, which is why it's called a Fresnel head, on the front, which shapes the beam pattern into a rectangle, okay? And when you shoot this against a surface, a backdrop or something like that, you're going to get a not very pretty looking gradient because it's going to have a rectangular shape and the edges are going to be not smooth, roundly transition like you see in this image here. Like if you look in this image, right there in that circle, there's a nice hot spot that is the start of the gradient in the middle of the frame. And that's created by this bare bulb with this little reflector on it. So this is the AD200 that I have. And one of the advantages of this light is that you can actually switch between this bare bulb head and the Fresnel head. And I use the Fresnel head a lot, but I really love using the bare bulb head with the reflector to create nice gradient backgrounds. And then this is just a pair of gels that I taped on top of each other to create this sort of magenta-ish reddish background color. This is a magenta gel and a yellow gel to get something sort of orangey purple, or not orangey, but, or not purple, but orangey. So that is the first thing, is consider the shape of the head. And if you're using just a speed light, you're a little bit limited because you only have the Fresnel head.
You could put on probably like a grid like this would probably do the trick.
It'll help a little bit. A grid like that will help a little bit, but you're still taking rectangular light, a shape of rectangular light, and putting it out of something that is a different color. You could also put a small, like soft box, sort of like almost like one of these, you know, like those little soft boxes that you can buy for speed lights that often are meant to be used on your camera. But if you get something that has a round shape to it, like I think you had, what you had there, Mark, was I think a Rogue grid.
Yeah.
And I think they might just have a circular diffuser as well that you can put in front. That'll help you get that shape as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? So the next thing to consider is where you position it. So I deliberately positioned it slightly off to the camera left so that the hot spot was a bit visible, because I wanted some attention to be in that area, because in the image, like this is for my thumbnails, text is going to go here, and I want to help focus attention in this area to draw your eye a little bit to the text, but also to me as well. So that's why I didn't have it right behind me. But where you position that light will dictate how the gradient shows up. If you want it like right in the middle, perfectly even, and then spreading out across the entirety of the image, make sure you frame it so that the light is in the center of the frame, and then position your subject right in front of it so you don't see the flash. If you look here, you can actually see a little bit of the gel hanging off behind me in the image there. I just ended up photoshopping that out, which wasn't a big deal.
Right.
But the other thing is just look at how the gradient falls off, because as I get to the edge here, you see it starts to go a little bit gray. And if you don't want that gray there, then you either need to change the position of the light, or actually crop in tighter with your focal length, or moving the camera closer to the subject to bring it in so that that doesn't show up in the image. So if this was a tighter shot, you know, let's say I framed it like this, then you don't see that edging nearly as much. There's still a little bit of it coming up here, but that's still got nice color to it. Whereas over here, you can really start to see the gray showing up on the edge. So that's a really easy way to take a background and change your color. I shot this against a white background. I had the power level of this flash set to, I think, 1/16 or 1/32 power. I don't remember exactly which. And this was about 4, maybe 5 feet away from the backdrop. The other thing you could do is change how close or how far away it is from the backdrop to change how the light will spread, and change where the edges of the gradient will show up. The closer you have it to the backdrop, the faster you're going to have fall off, because the light doesn't have as much time to spread out or space to spread out and get to the edges. But if you pull it back, the inverse square law works in your favor, because as the light travels, it's going to spread more as it follows the rules of the inverse square law. And so you'll actually get better coverage on the backdrop with a nicer, somewhat smoother gradient. So that's today's quick tip. Hope you guys find that helpful. If you have any questions about that, making gradients or anything like that, go ahead and drop them in the chat. And I see we have some questions. So Mark, you want to grab the first one?
Yeah, sure. So Rick is asking, sort of commenting / asking, he says he's got the white balance wrong after shooting a few stops under and just can't get rid of the nasty green color in the images. And he shot in JPEG with the Sony 50mm 1.8 on the A7 III.
Okay.
So I guess he's wondering if we have any ideas how to correct it. I guess one question is what is it an actual picture of? Because that might make a difference to give us an idea if there's something you might be able to use the white balance picker tool on to help get you closer.
Yeah, and Rick, if you could also tell us like how you're currently trying to correct the white balance. Like if you're using Lightroom already, and if you're trying to use the color picker, the white balance color picker, and if you are, what are you trying to color pick on to set the white balance in that image? Additional information will help us. And if you want to take it even further, Rick, if you have an image up on, you know, Facebook, or if you want to shoot me an image by email or whatnot, we could actually take a look at it and try to white balance right here on the show and see if we can come up with a way to fix that for you. So
yeah, he's also having added to the comment. He says, "I have from time to time." He's probably referring to somebody else. Okay, but basically he said, "I have from time to time. It was always in RAW, so I was able to correct. But in JPEG, it's almost impossible. Had to turn the image to black and white."
Yeah, and that is a real key there. The fact that you know, the JPEG, of course, is more fixed and limited in the data because you don't have the full latitude of the raw data, and that you can still sometimes fix that with a JPEG. But as you know, as you just said, it's way easier if you do it in RAW. So if you capture in RAW and JPEG, you'll always have that RAW. If you still want JPEGs for whatever the reason is that you might want them, you know, at least capture in RAW plus JPEG if you're having difficulties with things that like that from time to time.
Yeah, you can have the white balance completely out of whack if you shoot RAW. It doesn't make any difference. You can correct it easily enough just in like Lightroom or whatever processing software you're using, and just change the white balance to outdoor or indoor, tungsten, fluorescent, whatever the case is.
Right, right. And Mike had a comment too, which was he wanted to know if there were multiple light sources, and that is a regular issue when you can't fix a white balance. If you have two different light sources in the image, say, you know, just for simplicity's sake, say you have a regular tungsten light bulb, which is going to emit an oranger, warmer light, and then you have, you know, like noontime sun coming in through a window. That noontime sun is, generally speaking, going to be clean white light with no color cast. And if both the tungsten light bulb and that white light are contributing to the image at the same time, you're getting two different color temperatures in the image from those two different light sources. And so let's say you correct for the white balance of the warmer light, and that kicks off the light coming from the sun. And in some cases, what you actually have to do is do a little extra work by like splitting the image with some masking or whatever, and white balancing the two separate parts of the image and letting them kind of blend together where the light blends together to try to fix that. So that's one way to try to deal with it. I'm just looking to see. I'm going to open up my email to see if he does send the photo, and if he does, we can open that up and bring it in.
Just while you're doing that, I'll say welcome, I love. Good to see you.
Yes.
Here.
Hello, I love.
Vanessa's here.
Edith is here. Hey, yeah. Vanessa. We're missing Beth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, oh, Roderick said, were there multiple light sources? Sorry about that, Roderick. And hello, by the way, not Mike. And Edith says, hey, everyone, completely forgot about the live chat. Yeah. Mr. Cochise71 says, shooting portraits with my 85 1.2 outdoors, middle of the day, would you recommend a graduated filter due to bright daylight?
Probably not, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because usually a grad filter is used for like landscape type stuff where the sun's brighter than the ground, and you use the grad to bring the exposure of the sky down to a normal level. But when you're shooting a portrait, the lighting on their face should be pretty even, and if it's not, then it should be changing locations or making minor adjustments or whatever the case is.
Right.
If you're actually trying to balance that exposure, like if it's, say, like an environmental portrait, that probably will start to get a little bit trickier trying to get that balanced out. So it kind of depends on overall on the conditions as to exactly what it is you're trying to achieve.
Yeah. Now, if you are shooting in the middle of the day with a 1.2, what you could use rather than a grad filter, unless you mean No, not a grad filter, unless you mean a variable neutral density. Because what I would say is if you want to be able to shoot at 1, 2 in the middle of the day, you're going to want some sort of a neutral density filter for the lens to cut that bright light, but not graduated.
That's true. Yeah, not graduated.
Yeah, because like Mark was describing, that graduated is going to have it darker and then transition down to lighter. But if you just want to be able to shoot at 1.2 for the whole scene, then having just a full neutral density filter over the lens, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 stops, that'll let you shoot. Okay, he did mean ND. Then yes.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely recommend that, yeah.
Yeah, especially if you're looking to shoot wide open.
For sure. Mike says maybe go in Affinity Photo or Photoshop and use the green curves to lower the green as far as the white balance on Rick's photo goes. That's a way you could do that. Basically, manipulate the color and pull out the greens. And I Love says that's where the X-Rite dual luminance comes in. I have to confess, I don't actually know what that is. Based on the name of it, it sounds like something that allows you to white balance 2 different light sources in a shot.
I had the X-Rite color checker, but I don't know what the dual luminance
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the dual luminance either. I was actually going to look it up real quick. X-Rite dual luminance. Actually, let's do it here so you guys can see what the heck we're looking at.
Hello, Harry. Hello, Leroy.
Yes, hello, Harry and Leroy, and I Love, and Vanessa. X-Rite. Whoops, I can't type. X-Rite dual illuminant. Dual illuminant DNG profiles and lighting conditions. When you're photographing the scene with distinctive lighting, creating a custom DNG camera profile is recommended. However, when you're shooting in routine lighting conditions such as sunlight, blah, blah, a dual illuminant DNG profile can provide a flexible standard baseline which you can apply to your images. Yeah, I would have to look more into this. I have to confess, like, I don't use color checkers and things like that. But I Love says that's exactly what it is for dealing with multiple light sources in a scene. So that makes sense. A lot of people swear.
But that being said, though, your camera can still only have one white balance. So I can see the principle, but I'm not really sure how it would honestly work, because you could set the white balance, like you said, for daylight, or you could set it for tungsten.
Right.
But one or the other would be off, and you could probably get it somewhere in between. But still, if you try to correct the white balance for one thing, the other one's still going to go off. So
yeah, that's where splitting the image, like using masks or something like that, would allow you to do it.
Right.
But I Love says you can profile it in X-Rite, and that gives you tools for doing that, it sounds like. So that's something I'd have to look into, because, like I say, I typically don't use the color checker. I had one for a little while. I was testing actually for my videos, but then I was like, this is too much work to throw up color checkers and then spend time color correcting my video. I was like, yeah, screw that. I don't want to do it. Mike says, why do a lot of portrait photos seem too yellow in general? Is that just my preference? I would say one of two things. I would say it's possible that it's just your preference, but it's also entirely possible that you're seeing the effect of the Instagram sort of trend right now. No, not the compression, but rather like lots and lots of people are color grading them images, that teal and orange. And that orange tends to yellow and warm up the highlights and the skin tones in those images. So like the sort of trend right now is to overly warm images to get for the grams, to get the likes. Because that's what people respond to. So it might be that you're seeing that rippling out, Mike, and it may also just be that it is your preference. Like, it's a little bit hard to say without seeing the portraits, of course, that you're referring to, but that would be my guess. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, that would probably be my guess, too.
Yeah. So I hear the EM1X is getting bashed quite a bit in the reviews. That's kind of interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I haven't really heard a lot of, well, I guess in the reviews, there have been like the odd comment that have been positive, but for the most part, for every positive, there's been a lot of negatives. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I, I, I hope it works well for them, but based off the price point, I don't see how they're going to sell a ton of them, especially when there's other options out there that seem to be, I guess, for lack of a better term, engineered for the price point.
Yeah, yeah. Mr. Cochise says the price tag's a bit painful, and I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. I haven't watched any of the reviews yet, but I definitely want to look into it. So Edith had a question, wondering, says, I have a glass chest set, and I want to shoot a low-key shot. Not sure if I will shoot all of the pieces or not. Would you guys recommend more than one light? I have the 180 200 and one 580 EX2. And I Love says one light is good for low key with a modifier. I would agree with that.
I would too.
It does, however, depend a little bit on what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, the look you're going for.
Exactly. Because I think what could look, especially being as it's a glass chest set, what could look really nice is just some subtle directional edge / rim lighting, right? Like setting up the light, camera right or camera left, whichever side you want. Not the traditional sort of like right up here, pointing down at the subjects like normal, but instead kind of back, maybe not all the way back, but back a bit, shooting across the subjects. Now, what you'd want to be careful of is not having that light show up in camera, because I think if you want to go for low key, then you want to let that background fall off into darkness, into black. So I would think it would look really cool if you threw the 80-200 in an umbrella, or for better control of that spill, a softbox if you have one, so that it doesn't spill into that background, and bring that background up any, and then shoot it off at that direction. And if you like it like that, that's great. But what could look really cool is cross-lighting it. One corner back, one corner front. And that would really create some interesting drama and could throw some interesting shadows into the shot. So I would start with one light, and depending upon the look that you get out of the one light, maybe bring in that second light if you're not quite getting the look or the feel that you want with just the single light.
I think if you use a second light, it'd be best to use it as a backlight to give some help with some separation.
Yeah, I agree. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Like separation with the backlight. And if you were going to do it that way, then you might actually take the backlight and have that be not modified. So just flagged to keep it from spilling onto the background, but let it be bare otherwise onto the pieces to edge and rim them out. And then that front light coming in, if you do to, with some softening, and do it really low key, and let it basically sort of carve out the shape of the pieces from both sides with that cross lighting. Catch some reflections off of the board itself, and let that background fall in the darkness. I think that would look really cool. So Mike says, how's the Micro Four Thirds world going, and is the DSLR dead yet? Definitely not dead. I Love says 4/3 is BS. And I gotta say, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's you.
This is 4/3 right here. It's not BS. This is not BS. This is not BS. This is a great camera right here. The DSLR will never die, Vanessa says. Looks like they did. Roderick says, it looks like to me like they did a good job of making the EM1X do what they wanted it to do. If they did, that's good. I think the issue is that they didn't. I don't think they positioned it well for the price.
I think basically, like, AI has commented that it's basically its old tech to the max, and I think that's basically hitting the nail on the head. Is again, it's a 20 megapixel sensor. They've been stuck at 20 megapixels for a long time, so now they're trying to work ways around that tech to try and improve the camera. And that's basically what it is that they're trying to do with this this new one is trying to exploit the limits of it, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, yeah. Here's the thing. Like, the sensor is tiny. A 4/3 sensor is small, right? But consider this too for a second. You know, I love, and anybody else who who thinks that the Micro Four Thirds platform is end of life or whatever you want to call it, right? Like, we're all running around with these things, whether it's an iPhone or an Android, which have tiny sensors in them. Okay, and I'll explain 4/3 in a second, Steve. And there is a ton of research, development, tech, computational, sensor level, and whatnot that go into these phones to improve the quality of images that you get from these tiny sensors and cameras, right? So here you have this pushing technology up for small sensors. And then you have sensor tech being developed for full frame cameras, blah, 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 and all that sensor technology trickles downward. And from both of those ends, you have improvements, right? So a 4/3 sensor is never going to be as good, or not as good isn't the right word. A 4/3 sensor is never going to be equal to a full frame sensor because they are physically different sizes, right? So that size difference will always impose some limitations on the 4/3 sensor as compared to a full frame sensor, right? But consider this, okay? How many years ago? It was like, what, 2, 3 or so years ago that Canon released the 5D SR, whatever the heck they call it, which is a full frame sensor with 50 megapixels on it. And rumor is they're currently working on a 100 megapixel full frame sensor. Okay? Like 7 to 10 years ago, everybody would have told you that that was ridiculous. Expletive ridiculous, okay? Like, that you could never get 100 or even 50 megapixels on a full frame sensor because those sites would be too small, the tech is too limited, blah, blah, blah. The sensor's too small, right? But we have that now. All of those improvements are there. And what that means is those same improvements can be applied to a 4/3 sensor to push that tech along. And I believe that there is going to be a place for smaller sensors in the world, for smaller sensor camera, whether it's Micro Four Thirds, or whether it's APS-C, or whether it's our smartphone cameras. And what's great is that we have the choice, right? We can choose a full frame camera if you want a full frame camera. I chose the Micro Four Thirds camera because I really like this camera and I'm happy with the images I get out of it. And I don't need what I get out of a full frame sensor, which is, somewhat better low light performance and better resolution. So, with that in mind, I made a choice that suits me very well, and I'm very pleased with this camera. And, you can print big, beautiful images with Micro Four Thirds. A couple of you are talking about Joe Edelman in the chat. And whatever you think about Joe's opinions as far as his relationship with Olympus, he shoots with a Micro Four Thirds camera, and he's got an image on a billboard. We've talked about billboards before, too, and the fact that billboard printing is misleading because you don't need a super high resolution image for a billboard. You can put like a 6 or 8 megapixel image on a billboard because we're so far away from that image, it doesn't need to be 300 DPI. It can be like, 10 or 12 or 20 or 50 DPI and it's fine.
Yeah.
So, these cameras have their place, and that doesn't mean that I think everybody should shoot a Micro Four Thirds camera or that Micro Four Thirds cameras are better than full frame. They're not better or worse.
It's using what works for you for the most part.
Exactly it. So never understood the whole name of 4/3. That refers to the aspect ratio of the sensor.
Actually, that's wrong.
Is it really?
Yeah, I honestly don't remember what it was, but I saw something not that long ago where they explained where the 4/3 come from, so it isn't actually the ratio.
Oh, okay. So what is it for? Do you even know?
I don't remember what the hell. I just remember that I saw this. I was like, well, that's interesting. Always thought it was the ratio myself as well.
Well, then I'm wrong. I'm going to try to look it up. Let's see.
Unless I was just fed false information, and well, I've been wrong plenty of times before.
Yeah, I don't really know. The 4/3 sensor is equal to that of a video camera tube of 4/3 inch diameter. I have no idea what that means. Okay, well, I like Joe. I'm not bashing Joe in any way. I want to make that clear. You know, I know he's an Olympus ambassador. I'm friends with Joe. I have no problem with Joe or what he does or doesn't say. I haven't seen his latest videos on the EM1X, so I don't know what he's saying. But I know that some people look at people who have relationships with companies like Joe does with Olympus, and I don't know what his, you know, I don't know how much he gets paid by Olympus. I don't know any of that kind of detail stuff. Like, I know nothing of that. But those things do color a person's opinion, right? It is hard to maintain total objectivity when you have that kind of a relationship with a company. And when I say that, I'm not trying to say that Joe's opinions are wrong or bad or you know, whatever the case may be. But that is always a thing that a person has to keep in mind. All of that being said, you know, like I said, I'm friends with Joe. I think he's a great photographer and a great YouTuber, helping people, you know, get out there and take some damn photos. And apparently he mentioned me in his video last week. I'll have to watch that video and figure out what he was saying, because I haven't watched that yet. All right, so Rick says, thanks for the help, guys. I'm trying to correct in Lightroom using the color picker tool on a men's gray suit. It was low light with different color bulbs and my flash. Can't send images because I'm at work. Okay, so yeah, those are exactly the kind of situations we were talking about. So I think your best bet in that situation then, Rick, is going to be to do what I said before, which is take the image into Lightroom, Photoshop, whatever. In fact, I can give a quick demonstration of what I'm talking about here. So let's just do that real quick. I've got this image, which is not really suited for what I want to do, but it'll give you the idea, right? So I'm going to create a color balance layer and or curves layer, just to do it through curves. And then we're going to go to the greens, RGB. Let's go to the green channel, and then I am going to pull the greens out. Right now, this looks awful. The point isn't that I want this to look good. It's just that I want it to look different. Right now, this is clearly hitting the whole image, and this is where a problem like that comes in. But if I throw a mask on this layer, I can now take this mask, and let's say over here on the left of the image is where I wanted it corrected, but over on the right, I don't need it corrected because that's where the clean light was coming from. So I take this mask, and it's black, and I have a hardness of 0, and where I can see the color blend starting to happen, which I'm just going to make up like the middle, you come in here, and then you just brush out the areas of the quote-unquote bad color correction that you don't want, blending the two color corrections together. And you know, you might have to work a little bit on how the masks feather on top of each other, but that would be the basic process there. Do a color correction on one part, mask it off with a nice feathering off to the one side, and then mask it back in the other direction if you need to with another color correction layer to get everything balanced out the way you want it. All right. He was talking about my V-flat solution. Oh, super cool. That's awesome. I Love says, Joe's a great photographer. I bet he uses full frame on the side on the down low. That's funny. The EM12, I Love also says, the EM12 uses computational tech to produce better images. That is correct. It has those two image processing, you know, chips or whatever in there, and that speeds up the processing and allows them to do more computational work on it, which can do things like reduce noise and things like that, and also get those images processed quicker and out of the buffer and onto the memory card faster, which allows for those faster burst rates and things that they're talking about on that camera.
The stream is wonky, everyone's saying, including myself.
Oh, let me look at the status of the stream here. I gotta find my control panel.
I just thought it was my crappy internet, but everyone else is saying the same thing.
My stream status is good, so I'm not sure what would be causing the wonkiness of the stream.
Even the preview window I'm seeing on YouTube.
Oh no, it was because Well, the image was probably goofy because I forgot to turn things over properly, so that should fix that. But I'm not sure why. If you guys could try to could you guys try reloading your pages? Because like I say, I'm clean here. My stream health is good. I've got a good upstream. My data feed is good, which is where the problem would come from on my end. Hey, Manny.
I just refreshed and it's still not great.
Still there? Okay.
Yeah, it's a little better, but there's still something off.
It's probably on YouTube's end then. There won't be anything, unfortunately, that I'm going to be able to do. It's at 144p. That sucks. Let me look at it. Let me look at the stream on my computer here for a second. I'm just going to refresh the video page myself. Okay, so yeah, for me it looks fine on mine. I'm like watching the video. It's the Wisconsin snow weighing down the lines. That's hilarious. Yeah, probably. Rick says we'll give the layering technique a shot. Let's see what else. Mike says I shot a basketball game at JPEG. The detail was good. Do you guys ever shoot JPEGs?
I don't.
I don't either. I just shoot everything raw now. And shooting sports, I think, is a good scenario, a good use case for JPEGs, especially if you want to be able to very quickly deliver those JPEGs to somebody, to a team, to a social media coordinator, something like that. Or if you want the faster burst rates and buffer transfer rates, because those JPEGs, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I was going to say, or another option is if you're printing on the fly, like if you're at shooting like a kid's hockey game or something like that, and people want pictures you're taking at that point in time, then JPEG and quickly print them out and call it a day.
Yep. Yeah, but I think for somebody who's just there to photograph the game, who isn't printing or anything like that, the biggest advantage of shooting a JPEG is going to be that you will get faster burst rates, and you'll be able to get more into that camera buffer, more shots at a full speed burst, because you have significantly smaller, roughly speaking, 1/10 file size JPEGs going into that buffer.
Right.
So that's a huge advantage. One of the things that has been pushed with things like the D500, the EM1 Mark II, and I'm sure the EM1X as well, they've really pushed the boundaries of how many raw shots you can get in a full speed buffer into some really impressive numbers. I don't remember how many it is anymore, but when I was doing the EM1 Mark II review videos, those numbers were crazy. Like, almost overwhelming in my opinion, because it's so easy to end up with too many photos. It's very, like, if you're shooting 60 frames a second on that EM1X, it's so easy to end up with, 5,000 photos from a basketball game.
Yeah, and even at that speed, you're shooting video speed, if not faster.
Right. You really are. I mean, 60 frames a second that's high speed video, right? Like that's, that's slow-mo video.
Yeah.
Steve says if you're shooting JPEGs and are planning on using them, you better set the white balance beforehand for what light you want or printing on site. You are absolutely right about that.
Yeah.
Very much. So Rick says, I have since switched to JPEG. It was so easy to edit. I can't do that for anything important anymore. Yeah, the thing about JPEG is just making sure that ahead of time you've got everything that needs to be dialed in correctly. The most important things are going to be your exposure and your white balance, because you lose exposure latitude in the JPEG and you lose white balance latitude in the JPEG. So those two are really the key. Megapixels are good as long as the sensor is not overcrowded with too many. I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. And that's why I've been pretty happy with I've been very happy with the EM5 II at 16 megapixels. I could go for, 20 megapixels, but I don't really need 20 megapixels, so it doesn't really matter to me that that's what I'm shooting. From all of my printing and other use cases for these photos that I shoot, it's been fine. And I'm making, I've made a number of 18 by 24 or so prints for, well, they're not up in the studio right now, but for around the house of my work, and they look great.
Yeah.
Steve says dynamic range sucks in JPEG. That is very true, and that's why getting that exposure dialed in right is really key. Because if you push it too far one way or the other, in working with that limited dynamic range, it's easy to blow out highlights, to lose detail in the shadows, and then think, oh, I can just I can lift that up in Lightroom or something, but you don't have the data there because it's a JPEG. All right.
Yeah, but I sort of back on the megapixel count too. Is at some point, the megapixels count doesn't matter because the lenses can't resolve the higher megapixels. Like you hear, I think it's Canon's saying that they're planning on coming out with 100 megapixel cameras. Like, unless you've got the glass that's going to support it, you're just wasting money. I think it was actually Tony Northrup, I think, just actually did a video about that, about the higher megapixels and do you really need them, and basically what he stated, I agreed with him.
Yeah, I did a video, I don't know, a year or two ago that said the same thing, basically, which is that more megapixels is not necessarily better because of those trade-offs that you make. Hey guys, remember, give thumbs up. Newbies like myself need these guys. Thank you, Rick. Appreciate that. We'll take all the thumbs up you guys want to give us. And if you're new here and you want to subscribe and you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, and if you really want to give us a finger, we don't care either.
Right, yeah. Thank you, Rick. Appreciate the support. Appreciate everybody's support, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I've been working on some videos for editing photos. As you guys know, like, I'm seriously into editing on the iPad, and so I've been working on some videos detailing some of the processes for that. And I keep asking this question, but I want to ask again because we have some new people on the stream today. Those of you who I haven't asked this before, what do you think of this idea of editing photos on the iPad? Because that's what I've been doing fully and completely from
iPad Pro.
I'm using an iPad Pro, but it doesn't need to be an iPad Pro. You can do it on
a regular one will do it.
The regular $329 iPad will run all the same apps. It has pencil support. You can do it on that, so it doesn't have to be an iPad Pro. So I'd love to know what you guys think. I keep asking that question because I want your opinions and questions on it, because that'll help inform the kind of videos that I want to make. Yeah. So I was talking about the megapixels and says, example, the Fuji GFX 50S large format produces excellent image quality at 50 megapixels compared to the Canon 50 megapixels on a full frame because the image sensor is bigger and not overcrowded. That's exactly what I was talking about before, right? They're packing that many pixels onto a full frame sensor. And it's good, right? Like, it's not as good as a medium format because the medium format is bigger. And that's the same relationship that exists between Micro Four Thirds and full frame, right? So full frame has become this sort of standard because 35mm format film was so ubiquitous and easy to work with. And as we transitioned into the digital world, that became, that was the format that was built upon, because that was the ubiquitous format, right? So full frame is this de facto standard for a sensor size. But the thing is, there's a whole range of sensor sizes. From large format, you have the Fujis, you have Hasselblads, you have Pentax. I don't know if Mamiya is making any medium format sensors or cameras.
They used to, I think.
But anyway, there are full frame sensors out there, and they're not as widely. Phase one, thank you. Yeah. They're not as widely used by people because some of them are stupid expensive. We're talking like $50,000 for a camera body, right? But that's come down dramatically. Pentax started pushing those boundaries with $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 full frame, medium format sensor bodies, and now we've got Fuji pushing those prices down into the $4,000 or $5,000 range, and that's like super high end DSLR pricing. So now, we are seeing all of these benefits, like I was talking about before, pushing everything forward, right? A rising tide lifts all boats. So as full frame sensors get better, yeah, as full frame sensors get better, then the medium format, or I'm sorry, the micro four thirds sensors get better, the medium format sensors get better, things get cheaper, and all boats are lifted. We all benefit, and that's what I love about it. You know, maybe someday I'll move to a full frame camera or a medium format camera, but like this, you know, this is great.
Not today, right?
For me, yeah.
You just got your stairs painted, so you don't have to.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. So Scott says, do you guys think there's any value in a photographer having or starting a podcast? I say there is value in it. I will say that I don't listen to any photography podcasts.
I don't listen to any podcast, period, myself, but that's me.
Okay, I listen to a bunch of podcasts, but none of them are photography podcasts. So Scott, are you thinking about starting a podcast? Is that the direction you're going, or are you thinking that you would want like this to be a podcast? It was once upon a time, by the way. I do think there's value. The thing that I think happens pretty easily though with photography podcasts is that they fall into just talking almost entirely talking about the gear. Which I get because that's a fairly easy thing to talk about in a podcast is gear and like industry news. And I personally don't find that to be a podcast that I want to listen to. Ultra MUC, I don't know if you can actually share links because of the YouTube chat rules.
I think only you and I can, I believe.
I think only we can because of the YouTube chat rules. But if you have a link that you want to share, message it to myself or Mark, and then we can share it in the chat. Just include the message you want with it as well, so we can include that as well. So that's kind of what I think about the photography podcasts. So another local photographer and I have been tossing around the idea. So I would flip it around and ask, what were you thinking about talking about in your podcast? Just talking about gear and news, which is not a bad thing. I'm not bashing that when I say that I don't listen to it. I just don't personally find it to be something that I want to listen to in a podcast, which is why I don't. You guys know that by and large, I maintain awareness of what's going on because, you know, it's the industry, but at the same time, I kind of don't care because I'm more interested in taking the photos and creating the work and in helping everybody else like we do to try to create the kind of work they want to create. And that's about us as the photographers and far less about the gear. The gear is clearly important, but we, the creators, are far more important.
Yeah.
I have not shot full frame, Edith. Mark, have you ever shot full frame?
You mean medium format or full frame? Full frame, but that's what I shoot primarily now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was thinking medium format. So I should back that up. I have shot full frame. Like, I've never owned a full frame camera. I did review the D600. So I had that for, I don't know, a couple weeks or something like that when I did that review. I think it was the D600. Yeah, that was the D600.
You reviewed a D600?
I thought I did.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Maybe I didn't.
But it doesn't mean that I'm wrong because I've been wrong plenty of times.
I don't recall.
Plenty of times just today.
God, I don't. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I'm misremembering. So bottom line is, I have held and shot a full frame camera before, but I have never owned and regularly shot with a full frame camera. So no, like basically no. I haven't shot full frame as on like a regular basis.
Yeah.
Rick,
Ultra's asking again about sending us the link. You can
send it to my email. I'll put it in the chat. Spyros at selfhelpphotographer.com. That'll be easiest because that's universal. Anybody can send it there.
Yeah.
Rick wants to know if adapted lenses are as good as native lenses. So is a Canon lens an A-class lens on a Sony body? Is it worth buying lenses from other brands? Mark, you want to chime in on that first?
Sure. I think a lot of it will have to do with the specific camera and whether you're looking for full functionality or not. Like my understanding with Sony, like the newer Sony bodies, that Canon lenses actually work pretty good with pretty much close to full functionality. Um, Other lenses like Canon or Nikon, I don't think that they've got that working very well, and like other brands, like I don't think you'd ever see a Pentax mounted onto a Sony camera or anything like that. But I think ideally you'd want to stick to the specific mount and not adapting if you can help it. But the options are definitely out there. It's just a matter of whether or not how restricted you may or may not be using the adapted lenses.
Yeah. Yeah, the biggest loss you'll find in using an adapted lens is focus, performance, and speed and accuracy, because you're taking a lens designed to communicate with one computer and then putting a translator in there and trying to get these two different computers to talk to each other, essentially. And with that, there comes some loss. And like Mark was saying, when it comes to Sony, the best adapted lenses on Sony, as far as like focus performance goes, are the Canon ones. I agree. I don't think the Nikon. I don't know if there's. I think there is a Nikon. Oh, Edith, thank you for bringing that up. I wanted to talk about that. We'll talk about that before the end of the show. I don't think that the Nikon lenses adapt very well either. I think you're absolutely right on that, Mark.
Yeah, because I know anytime I've watched Jason Lanier's videos, he's always trying out Canon lenses. That's all he ever tries.
Okay. So as far as like the image quality you'll get out of the lens, that's going to be great, because, you know, if it's a Canon L lens, as an example, you know, like a 70-200 Canon L f2.8, right? Like that's just a great lens.
Yeah, image quality shouldn't be affected anyway.
Right, right. You won't lose image quality there.
Unless it's not focusing properly.
That's exactly right. So that's going to be your biggest loss there, and that's what I would just pay attention to if you're thinking about. Now, if you have a Sony camera and you're looking for a lens option, if you have a Canon lens, adapting it is a good option, because you don't have to buy a whole new lens. You just need to buy an adapter, which is significantly cheaper. You know, it's like maybe $100 or $200 or something like that.
Yeah, the Metabones, I think, is the big one everybody's using, I think.
Yeah, and Sony actually has an adapter for the different lens mounts as well, I believe, that they offer.
Well, I would think, I could be wrong, but I would think they would only offer for their own older mounts.
Well, I think when they launched the A line, the full frame A line, they offered Canon and Nikon mounts, or definitely Canon, because they knew that to get people over, they would have to make that transition easier, so they didn't have to buy a whole new set of lenses in addition to a camera body. So they could transition over, keep their whole lens library basically, but still use this Sony body. Right. And Sony knew that they couldn't launch with that depth of lenses either. So they had to provide some sort of a bridge, and I'm pretty sure those adapters exist. If not, Metabones certainly has them.
Yeah, Steve's saying Nikon only adapts with manual adapters.
Okay.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Okay. I'm waiting for that email to show up, Ultra. So MUC, as soon as it shows up, I will. I hope it shouldn't go to spam. I gotta find my spam folder. It's buried here. Okay, so we're near the end of the show. I'm gonna wait for that email to come through. I also wanted to bring up what Edith asked about, which is the challenge. We have our Facebook group. So let me grab this link. And in that Facebook group, we've restarted some challenges. We had stopped the challenges for a little while, and now we're restarting them. Edith has taken on some initiative with that. And
taking the bull by the horn.
Yes, yes. So I'm grabbing the group link. And if you guys are Facebook users and Facebook group link, you can join this group and participate in the challenges. And here's how the challenges work. So Edith's going to be creating challenges, but anybody can create a challenge if you want to create a challenge.
Yeah, the whole idea of the group is just to
challenge each other.
Challenge each other, ask each other questions.
Right.
Basically. keep communication going between everybody.
Yep. And one of the things we ask is that when there is a challenge, you post your photo in the comments on the challenge. So if you want to see all the photos from a certain challenge, you find that post, like the one that Edith posted, which I set as an announcement for the group. The first challenge is memories, good or bad. So then if you go into the comments, you can see all of those photos that people have submitted to the challenge. Yeah, Steve said you might have to pin the post. That's exactly what I did. So we can, like as admins, we can watch for those challenges and pin those up. If it gets to be too many challenges, we can't pin them all, but we'll at the very least pin the official weekly challenge that Edith, or you know, if Edith's going to do them every week, go for it.
Or whoever, but
right, exactly. Let me see if that email came through. That email is not coming through. Let me see if it's in my spam folder. I don't know why it would be, but you never know.
Who knows?
Spam. I don't see that email coming through, Ultra. Let me see if you want to resend it. I don't know why it's not showing up. I should have looked at my spam folder. There's a few things in here that I wish I had seen earlier. Not like critical.
A little late now, but.
Yeah, not like critical. Unless, did you, I don't know why that email's not coming through. Huh. Yeah, I'm not seeing that email come through. Of course, I say let's use the tried and true universal standard, and it fails us. Technology. It's fantastic. Oh, God, that's hilarious. If Beth is here, our winter storm is named after her. You know it's a real winter storm when it gets a name, and it's not just the Great Blizzard of 19. Yeah, they name blizzards. The next one will be named Kim.
I don't think they named them up here, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, I'm just I'm stalling basically, hoping this email will show up, but it's not showing up for some reason.
Well, let me put in my email address and try sending it to me.
Yeah, anyone can make a challenge. Edith, are you going to be making like an official weekly challenge, though? Is that what you were planning to do? Because if you are, that'll be the one that we post, or that we pin for sure.
Yeah, Facebook used to only allow you to pin one thing, but you can pin multiple things now. So
yeah,
so we can definitely add more.
Edith said she just wanted to start it back up. Yeah, which is good. I mean, I'm glad you asked, and that we are doing the challenges again. That's not it. Yeah, that email's not coming through. We're gonna have to come up with a way to. They call our blizzards Tuesday, Vanessa says. That's pretty hilarious. Okay, I think I'm gonna call that email just lost in the gremlins of the internet. I'm going to try to come up with a better way for email sharing or for link sharing and things like that in the chat. Yes, Rick, we're on every Monday at 6 p.m. Central. That's currently -6 GMT or Zulu time. Let's see, what is that? What time is it? Hold on. What time is it GMT? So it's Zulu time 1200 is when we're on Mondays. And then on Fridays, I edit live on my iPad now and chat about whatever, photography and otherwise. That's every Friday at noon Central Time. I don't know what
I got Ultra's email.
Oh, excellent. Mark got it. Okay, good.
Oh, link is going in.
Okay, link's coming in. So let's check out the link. Shoot it over to me and too, Mark, would you?
Oh, okay. It's in the chat there.
Can you send it to me in Messenger just so I can grab it on the iPad and bring it up on the screen?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
You got it.
Create a post on the Facebook page for website and Instagram links. Yeah, we could definitely do that. It's not finished yet. Do you not want us to show it on the stream? If you don't, then I won't. But if you don't mind, then we'll bring it up and we could just chat about it real quick. So I'll just wait a moment for Ultra MUC to respond to that, so that if you don't want us to show it, then I won't show it on the live stream. I'm just taking a look at myself. Nice maternity photos. I do not mind. Okay. All right. So let me head back over to the main page, and I'll switch this over so y'all can see it. Here it is. So this is Ultra MEC's website. That appears to be German if I know my languages, which I don't. So, but I'm pretty sure Munich is where Ultra is from, if I recall correctly. I like that background image too. That key light right there, that rim, that background light, and the way that rims in out is nice. So,
yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. If you can, whenever you get to that point, rhyme time, I love says, whenever you get to that point, I would highly, highly, highly recommend, and if you're not there yet, I totally understand. If you're preparing to do this, that's fine. But I would highly recommend upgrading to whatever plan so that you can get rid of this. This site was designed by Wix Web Builder bar at the top, just so that that's not distracting from you and your website and your work.
Yeah,
so
agreed.
Taking a quick look at the portfolio here, I really like these images. I particularly like this middle one here where that rim light is highlighting her belly and the baby. These are pretty. So some nice maternity. It looks like you're doing some good maternity work, which is really
definitely.
nice. Oh, I love that silhouette. That's really fantastic. Excellent stuff here. Babies. You are a brave person taking pictures of babies. And then we got, I do not know what OM photographing means. I cannot read your language, unfortunately. So, and we got a store. So adding stuff here, I'm guessing, because this is unfinished yet. And then a link over to Instagram and then the contact page. Oh, so this is interesting. It pulls your Instagram feed in and creates like a grid of it on your web page. That's kind of interesting. I like that. We have the Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram links. Those are often forgotten. I know it's in process. So again, if this is on your roadmap stuff to do, that's fine. But definitely these bottom icons, the Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, definitely customize those to your profiles, because as you can see, they're going to Wix right now, or remove them if you don't use, say, Twitter or Facebook. Obviously, you have your Instagram, and you've actually got it connected to your Instagram.
Yeah,
so,
the other two aren't.
yeah, so definitely get rid of those two or connect them to yours so that it goes where you want it to go rather than over to Wix. But all in all, like I like the look of the website. I think it looks really nice.
Yeah, one thing I might suggest.
Yeah.
You can do it if you wish or not, but like you basically have everything all on one page. You might want to break it down so you have maternity on one page, the wedding stuff on another page, then the family / just portraits on another page again, because it's a lot of people when they start going through a website and there's all these pictures like, oh God, I don't want to go through them all. But if it's divided up, then it's like they can just look specifically what it is that they're wanting to look at.
Yeah. Oh, look, we have another Olympus Micro Four Thirds shooter here. Ultra MEC uses the EM1 Mark II, the EM5 Mark II, and the Panasonic GX80, and shoots mobile photos on the P20 Pro. Excellent. Okay. I think we're going to wrap this up for tonight. What do you think?
I think so too.
All right. So let me flip this back over here, guys. All right. I don't think anybody made any comments about iPad stuff. That's okay. We can talk about that some other day. I'll be talking about iPads for quite a while now. Steve said, I posted a pic on the weekly thing. This is why I do photography, because someone will never be around forever. And when you don't have images to remember, then the memories are not enough. Yeah, that's very, very true. Hear you guys loud and clear. Thanks, guys. Awesome. No problem. Happy that we can offer any feedback. Don't start right away with in your face. I'm not sure what you mean by that, I love. Are you referring to the website? Oh, that's the X-Rite Pantone. Okay. Well, at any rate, let's wrap this bad boy up. Mark, you got anything you want to add before we close this off tonight?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay.
It was a good show. Lots of good conversation.
Yeah, 100%. Honey P. Honey P for you Letterkenny watchers out there. Honey P. All right. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining us. My new video drops tomorrow. Oh, somebody asked earlier, Mark, if you had any videos in the work. We should address that. You making any videos?
No, I don't have anything in the works. I have a couple of ideas, but
yeah,
I'm the worst for procrastinating and getting shit like that done.
All right.
Who has time when you work all day and
right.
you're shooting weddings on the weekend and what have you? But I definitely need to. Like I keep thinking of, like, I've got a bunch of these old cameras that people have donated to me, whether they're little movie cameras or film cameras, and I keep thinking I should do like a donation video. This is what people have donated to me over the past year or whatever, and just sort of show off some of the stuff that I've got. But again, doing it.
right, doing it. I hear you.
Yeah.
That's a big barrier. That's a big barrier. All right, so my new video will drop tomorrow at 5 p.m. Central. That'll be 1100 p Zulu time tonight, I suppose. Yeah, tonight. No, that doesn't make sense. Anyway, tomorrow night, 1100 p tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Also, hoodies and tees are available now. Just like barely available, but available. If you want to support the show and the videos and everything, go to shp.photo/merch. And I'll actually show that to you guys real quick here. It is literally the most bare bones merch store you might have ever seen, but we're getting there, and I'll be building it out.
Is it going through your website now, or still through a third party?
This is Teespring. I'm doing it through Teespring.
Oh,
so
okay. Here
it is right now. I've got the ladies' tee, I got the hoodie, and we got the regular unisex tee, all with the classic orange. Get out there and take some damn photos on it. I'm going to add white and I think maybe a pink. All on black for now, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, for the ladies, because I know the ladies I like the pink. So if you want some merch, head over to there, Teespring. That'll help support the show and everything else. Check out my new video tomorrow, 5 p.m. Central. I'll be live editing Friday, 12 p.m. Central. I think that's enough blabbing. Yeah. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Yeah. We always appreciate you spending your time. And if you ever have questions or topics you'd like us to talk about, find us on the internet, email Mark or myself, Facebook message us, post it in the Facebook group if you're part of the group, and make sure you tag one of us so that we can make a note and make sure we talk about it. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, then go over to Mark's channel and like his videos and subscribe to his channel, and then get out there and take some damn photos, people. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Vanessa says she loves her black hot pink tee. Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love the orange too. Good night, everybody. I'm trying to find my stop button. Okay, here it is. Now we're really going to go away. Bye.